Hello everybody. So it has been quite a little bit. I'll just jump right in here because I have quite a bit of content to cover. So I've had several requests now for plans for a chicken coop or questions about chickens, raising eggs, raising chickens, hatching them out, all the things. How long does it take? How many eggs do you get? All those things. So I thought I would come out here at this beautiful hour of night where the sun's just getting ready to set. And I'm at chicken coop number 1, and it is called the Chicken Palace. The reason it is chicken coop number 1 is because this is the first coop that we ever built. We had 5 chickens when we did it, maybe 6. And this thing is massive. And Chris built this thing with my help, literally. We've done some modifications. Right now is currently winterized. I'm still sheltering them from some cool nights, cool breezes, things like that. We are super basic, y'all. We do not have beautiful coops in the sense that one would think they were aesthetically pleasing. They're basically functional, okay? So we'll start with an external view of coop number 1. And the reason we're gonna start with that is because it's the first coop that we built. Listen, one of our mottos here is go big or go home. This coop is massive. And honestly, you could house so many chickens in here. We have currently about 14 in this one coop. So I'll move on with that. This is the first coop that we ever built. Now it is not pretty by any means. So we added the wood that is right here for the winter a couple of years ago, and we just left it. So it just stays there. They're running amok in there right now. They don't usually go to bed this early, but they went in, so we let them go in because sometimes you just have to, like, make your life a little easier. This is one of those days. So there's no floor in this coop. This floor is sitting on the ground, and on the bottom, let me just show you this guy over here. He refused to go in the coop tonight. This one right here. If it's not dark, he's not going in, so he will stay out tonight. Nothing will happen to him. And if it does, then it was intended. After this many years of chickening, I don't fret over helicopter chicken momming. So I would have to get the exact measurements from Chris if you were going to build this from the ground up. And in all honesty, once we built it, we realized that we literally could have gone shorter because it just needs to be tall enough to walk in. This external kennel, we used this coop for a little bit for some puppies. And since then, this coop has taken a beating from... Always has to be the center of attention, sorry. Has taken a beating from the goats. So this external dog kennel chain link serves zero purpose whatsoever, other than it keeps the goats out of the chicken feed in the coop. So we've left it up. We have one entrance into this coop. It is a walk-in coop. There are roosts on the inside. Tomorrow when I let the chickens out, I'll come out and I'll show you the inside when they all get out of there. It looks like they have flipped their water upside down, so that's great. On the very back of the coop wall on the bottom, down below, you can see a little bit of light coming in. Right here. that is a chicken feed bag. So at the bottom of this coop, the whole back of it is closed off with plywood. We built it that way initially. But we never put a chicken door in because initially our chickens did not free range. So we were not planning on opening and closing and opening and closing, just going in, getting eggs and doing whatever. And now this flock here does free range the entire property wherever they want to go. You're rude. You're being very rude. So that's coop number 1. It is hardware cloth from the bottom to about the middle, the center. The door is entire hardware cloth, and above the door is also hardware cloth in that little space. If you use chicken wire, and I don't know if you can see if I zoom in, there's a lot of fencing there, but right in here in this area there is some chicken wire that comes down also. So we did the bottom portion. I believe that those are 2x10s or 2x12s on the bottom. And then we just ran some stringers on the inside and we stapled the hardware cloth up to that first board that you see right here. That did a great job of keeping any predators out. True story. Now, so here's what happens with predators. We have found this more. When we first set up our coop, we did not live out here. We didn't have nearly as many predators or predator activity as we did when we got out here. So that's why some of the reinforcements and the, you know, we redid the door and we put some roofing metal on the sides, mostly for winter, but some of it was for predator proofing. I thought I could come out here and video and they would be kind of quiet, but no, they're not going to cooperate. So we're going to go to the second coop that we built. This coop, which is back in here, it's just a square. We put the automatic door on it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we were gifted that door. That coop we built strictly for babies, for grow outs. We call it Fort Knox. We added on this PVC run this year as we were growing out the chickens that are in this coop over here. And they're right beside each other. We just brought this out here. Get off me, cat. So in this coop, I have some grow outs. They were supposed to be copper marin chickens, although they don't truly look like it. This guy out here that you see, he is a copper marin, that beautiful green, red, traditional kind of rooster that you know. So this coop is really just for grow outs, and it's so that when the big flock is out roaming, the littler ones, the newer ones over here, can intermingle with them to a certain extent. I'm sorry, you can't see this, but the cat is literally in my face. And so don't knead on me, it hurts. Mallory. Anyway, so that's enough about that one. That one is made out of 2x2s, almost solely, and then completely wrapped in hardware cloth. All right, let's talk about hardware cloth versus chicken wire. This coop, the run, let me see if I can get it to focus in on that. That is chicken wire. And then over here, inside the chain link, this coop, stop, is wrapped in hardware cloth. I can zoom in a little bit as we're talking, but anyway, so that's the gist of it. The chicken wire is fine during the day. We don't have any issues with it. At night, everybody goes into a coop that is secured with hardware cloth, because I'm going to flip around here and we'll talk about that also. So now you'll be able to see the cat mauling me if she gets up here again. I will introduce her. I think she's coming. Here she is. This is Mallory. Mallory is our farm cat. She came out here with us. She's a great hunter. We need like 4 more of her, but she runs everybody off. So right now we have her and Pumpkin, who has been here long before we got here. All right, so let's talk about predator proofing coops. The bottom 4 feet should absolutely be hardware cloth or plywood. Raccoons in particular will reach through the bigger circles of the chicken wire, and it is brutal. They will tear the chickens apart inside the coop and bring them out piece by piece. They don't even eat them. They literally just kill them. It's very tragic. We have captured and disposed of multiple raccoons. That seems to be our biggest predator. These are only 2 of our current 5 coops. So what I've learned over the last several years of chickening is it's very hard to integrate chickens into a flock. Chickens are mean. I know people call everybody chicken when they're talking about weakness or timidness, but chickens are mean. They're brutal to each other. They will kill each other. They will beat each other bloody. It can be very, very rough. So the reason we have the 2 coops out here is the grow out coop then is next to the big coop. So they get used to each other. They get to see each other every day. I have way too many roosters right now. That's why you hear all the noise. But when I integrate the 1 hen that's in this grow out coop, it will go fairly smoothly. Let's see. I'm not going to go to the other coops tonight. We'll continue that on in another video tomorrow. This is literally going to be a 2-day video. We had a lot of activity today. We had some totes dropped off and for water storage and water catchment. Yep, bugs are out. Anyway, so I'll get the exact measurements on this coop, but basically a slanted roof so the water runs away. The ground, it can sit on the ground as long as you have some kind of barrier. So at the bottom of that 2 by 10 or 12, whatever we use, I think we use 10s. That hardware cloth goes all the way to the ground, and you can turn it out a few inches and bury that part in the soil. And that keeps anything from digging under. We don't have a lot of digging under problems. When we first got out here, we did. And I just went around and laid 2x4s all around the perimeter, and that kept anything from digging under. We added the extra hardware cloth because at the top we have chicken wire and snakes were going in there. So yeah, they will climb up your coop and they'll be in your coop. Sometimes it takes a while to find them. Sometimes they hang out. Our first experience of snakes was in this coop. And I kept telling Chris something's stealing the eggs. I blocked up the sides. It stopped for a while. And then one night I got a call to go into work and ended up getting turned around, which was fine. But Chris was out feeding the chickens and there were 2 snakes in this coop winding up the walls. And so when I pulled up, he's like, oh my God, can you find me something? All he had was a rake, and a rake does not stop a snake unless it, you know, is purposeful for that. So we ended up, we'll say we relocated them. Ooh, cat, celestially. We do not relocate snakes. I know a lot of people are going to freak out about that, but they are prolific. They will regenerate. They are not in any sort of endangered life. And when they cross the line of relocation, that's it for them here. I will continue this on tomorrow. The sun's starting to set. It is a beautiful night. I am enjoying being out here. And we'll do an interior run of the coop. But this coop we did very easily. Like, we literally bought the wood and we built it to the length of the wood that we had. I know that somebody out there could probably say that a lot more intelligibly than me. So if we bought 10 feet, and I think if we did 10 feet, that's what it all is. It's 10 by 10 by 10. I don't know for sure. I would have to ask Chris. So anyway, hopefully that gets, look, it doesn't have to be pretty. Your chickens are going to poop on everything. They're going to poop on everything. So you can make it beautiful, and we will paint this eventually, although we've had it for 6 years. We haven't painted it yet. It just hasn't been on the priority list. But we will get it painted, and we always reinforce it, and we're always putting up new wood. Every year we come out and inspect the wire and make sure that it's secured to the wood and there's no gaps or openings for any sort of predator to get through. And so far we've been really lucky. About 2 years ago, we had a predator out here. Assumably it was a raccoon, just based on the carnage. A raccoon will behead the chickens and basically gut them out and leave. It's just, ugh, terrible. So we have shotgunned one. We have trapped one or two. Brazen enough to go into our yard, like into our fenced-in yard around the house, and was stealing cat food every night. We trapped him. I called Fish and Game, y'all, and I was trying to say, can you just come get this thing? Like, can you come get it? Stop. Quit being crazy. Shh. Yeah. And they basically told me that they don't pick up raccoons. They just don't. There's too many of them. They would never be able to get anything else done, basically. So you're kind of on your own with predators. Now, we did have what we think is a fox in the back. We have trail cams out. We've seen fox. We've seen coyotes. We had a coyote walk right up next to our dog kennels in our yard with a dog in them on the camera. Just blatant. But a couple years ago, we were just, our whole flock got taken out. And it was almost nightly a slaughter, just one after the other after the other. And finally, all the birds wouldn't even go back into the coop. So we didn't use this coop for almost 1.5 years. We reinvented one, a goat barn in the back. We tore all the old wood down and then just rebuilt plywood and hardware cloth around it. I'll show you that one tomorrow. And we had something dig under. I'm going to show you this. And now he's in the chain link and he wants to go to bed with the rest of the group. So I'm going to go let him in because I'm here. If I had not been here, he would be roosting on the top of this coop right here for the night. But I will go let him in. And thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. So there goes my wonky videoing again. I actually took a picture and did not video this. So these are American breastbirds. They're a fairly new breed to America for chicken, or for meat chickens. The reason that they're completely isolated from everybody else and will always be is because I don't want to crossbreed in there. These chickens have a faster grow out rate. Not as fast as the Cornish cross, which is what you get at the grocery store. Those things grow out in about 6 to 8 weeks. 7, making them very hard to reproduce. So we wanted something sustainable. These birds grow 16 weeks before a kill date or a processing date. Let me say it like that. It's less offensive. Anyway, this is just a very simple remake that we did. We have some of that plastic hardware cloth in here. I don't really love that, but can see all the zip ties. Like, zip ties are number one. It's like duct tape on the farm. But they have a simple metal feeder in there that's tied up to the top. Just like a bucket for water. It's an old cat litter pan that I cleaned out. It was in the goat barn. It's been there forever and ever, so I bleached it out, and that is their water. You can't tell I bleached it out because it'll look just like that as soon as I clean it. It sits directly on the ground. It is movable. It's not easy to move by yourself. But these birds have a bigger coop of their own that we're saving up for right now. So right now, this is just their little grow out pen to keep them from intermingling with the other birds. Again, the reason for that is keeping the breed, just the breed. However, Mallory's walking up behind him. So listen, just let me say this because you see the cat. My cats are never interested in my chickens. As you see, she just walked right past them. When they're babies, she tends to get a little more interested in them, but we just have to keep them all safe from all predators, whether it is foreign or domestic. So anyway, just a couple of sheets of old plywood that I found laying around, and that's what I covered them in to protect them from the rain. Should it get cold, and I don't think it's going to get cold enough to have to protect them, but should it get cold, I will wrap this thing in tarp to protect them from wind. We'll talk about cold later on in the video. I thought I would come out here and have some coffee on day 3 of videoing so we can wrap this thing up because it's a long video and I know it is. And so if you stayed this long, I really appreciate you. You can fast forward through things that you don't need to know or things that you think you already know. I'm good with that. I'll put some links in the description of some of the products that we use. Some of the, I'm going to call them tools, so feeding tools, things like that. As you can see in my videos, we use cat pan litters or litter boxes that are new usually, or very, very cleaned or cleaned up. We don't use litter boxes on the property, so if we have them, they were either here or we bought them when our cats were little and Mallory ran them off, so they never used them. True story. So I will put the hanging feeders and waterers up. In the back coop, we use big 5 gallons. And those are lovely because I don't have to go out there every single day. We usually hit them at least every 3rd day, check on feed, collect eggs. Chickens are low maintenance in that sense, okay? The big kennel that I showed you, the last thing that was to music, it's to music because it's in my yard. My dogs are in there, there's ducks in there, it's loud. So that is a dog kennel that we had on property. Sometimes we have visiting dogs. We haven't for a while because there's been chickens in there. But we bought it with the top to it and all of the canopy and all the stuff that needed to go with it. And the visiting dog that we had went through the canvas and just kind of like just kept escaping from there. So we took the cattle panel and made a hoop and then covered that in tarp. That tarp has been on there for 3 years. It has held up so well. It blocks them from rain, mostly wind when they roost because they sit up a little higher than anything that you could see in there. The metal box in there is basically a laying box for them. They all lay in the same place. I think I may have said that at some point. To me, laying boxes are almost futile because they're going to lay wherever they want to. But I'm not discouraging you from getting them, okay? We had them in the past, and we still have them in some places, but they typically will lay wherever they want. We use a deep litter method in all of our coops, meaning that we will start fresh, put down hay, straw, pine shavings, whatever, grass clippings, and then we just kind of keep letting that go and then freshen it once in a while. I'm not going to give you an exact time frame because it'll depend on your space and your ability and your time that you have to invest. All of that deep litter, you can turn that over, you can haul it out in a wheelbarrow and put it in a compost pile and let it sit for a while, and it becomes great compost for your garden. So don't think that it's just total waste and whatever. You're going to use it for something else as you get more into this, okay? Let's see what else. I want a quick touch on the amount of eggs that you'll get per hen. It's going to vary depending on the breed and the age of the bird. Typically after 2 years, the laying slows down. I have 3.5-year-olds that lay exactly the same as they did when they were first laying. And in all honesty, they were very slow layers. Like there's 5 hens in that 3.5-year-old coop, and they don't give me 5 eggs a day, okay? So I think there's 6 actually. So we may get 3 eggs one day, 4 the next, and then bam, you'll have 6 eggs. So it depends on them, and that's how they've always been. I have not noticed a change or a decrease in them. So a hen will lay typically, just as an average, and it is not absolute. You can Google and find out for yourself what breeds you have, blah, blah, blah. But 200 to 350 eggs a year, depending on the breed and the bird and the conditions, what you're feeding them, does make some difference in the amount of sunlight that they get. I think that pretty much covers everything. The takeaway from this is, if you want beautiful coops, have beautiful coops. Be ready to dedicate your time to that. Start it, finish it, make it pretty, freshen it up. That's it. We jumped into a whole lot of other livestock within a couple of years of being here. And then you get distracted by other things and the actual chores of the farm. So focus on one thing at a time. My coops are not ugly, but they are not pretty. They're not flashy. The chickens do not care, y'all. When I tell you they're gonna poop on everything, they're gonna poop on everything. I'm not kidding you. So do what you will, but you don't want your first eggs to cost you $700. So you can go as big as you want on your coop. I don't care. Well, it's not my choice, but go as big as you want, as much as you can afford, and then perfect it from there. Make it easy. If you have a dog kennel that you're not using, wrap that sucker in hardware cloth, cover it up, coop, done. As long as they're protected and sheltered from some weather or have a place to go from flying predators, things like that, they're pretty self-sufficient. I mean, my free rangers hardly eat any feed. They do eat some feed, and I do give them that to keep them going because we're just coming out of winter. But right now I see them just foraging and chasing mice and all the things. Like, I mean, they played a game the other day of tag with one hen had a mouse in her mouth and everybody else was chasing her around. Grasshoppers, they're wonderful at catching bugs and pest control. So know that. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know it is long, and if you're still here, like I said, I really appreciate it. But a lot of content to cover. So we'll do another one. I'll try to make these a little shorter and maybe focus in on one thing at a time. I didn't get to the other coops. We'll do that later on. And just some tips and tricks that I had these Pinterest ideas of my chicken coops in my head when I started. And if you are raising your chickens to sustain your family, pretty doesn't always matter, okay? So just don't feel pressured to have these beautiful coops. Have clean birds, good eggs, and enjoy them. And with that, I'm out. Y'all have a great day.